I think I speak for the whole RuneScape community when I say nothing is more fundamental to RuneScape than gambling.
If you have never seen this before, this is Gutty's amazing series Game of Chance. 23 months ago, yes, almost 2 years ago, it took YouTube and OSRS by surprise. At first, when developing it, Gutty was simply making YouTube content. What he didn't know was that Atlas would remake it as a public plugin, and it would end up being very similar to the one he built. This is the start of Chanceman mode, which used similar rules as seen in Game of Chance. At first, this works out great, the game mode is fun and enjoyable, the dopamine flows. But after a while, if your luck is in God tier, you will end up with quite a few grinds ahead of you. With rules so limited, you get to a point where very difficult grinds are mandatory. Everyone has to do them. All of this was okay in Gutty's series. After all, his goal was to complete the Fortis Colosseum, which has gear requirements, but no quest requirement after unlocking Barlamore initially. And beating Solareddit is possible, as it was completed by a chanceman named Mark Dennis already, which is very impressive, but the fact he didn't have Mauritania at that time is scary to me. In its current form, Chanceman mode isn't quite adapted for not so experienced players, or players that wish to access late game or at least mid game even, because quests lock too much content. One other thing to keep in mind is that the game mode gets harder as the updates get released. When I started, sailing wasn't yet released, making my odds of getting important items much higher. This fact, paired with the fact that sailing is locked behind a quest, is important to understand why a rule set change is important when it comes to Chanceman mode in the current year and in the future. The last thing I want is to make this game mode easy, but I do want it to be beatable. As such, I think one of the best ways to go forward with this is to reimagine the rule set. Quite simply, I think Gutty did fantastic work coming up with such an awesome game mode, but he didn't need deeper rules for his series. He wasn't building a game mode for us all. Seeing how difficult this game mode is when the easy rules dry out kinda shattered my enjoyment of it. So, where do we begin with this new rule set? There are 3 big categories of rules that we should adopt in this new rule set. In the first category, there are rules that open up the game. These rules will allow you to do more things in the game, increasing the source of rolls. The second category are the rules that open up the world map. These will allow you to reach new areas, also increasing your source of rolls. And finally, the third category is the quality of life rules. These new rules should simply make your life a bit easier as a chanceman. Let's start with a rule that opens up the game, not too far from Falador, with the Druids. Most will know where I'm going with this. The Druidic ritual quest should be auto-completed for Chanceman account. Otherwise, it is almost impossible to complete and locks an entire important skill for everyone. By auto-completed, I mean that you should finish the quest with your plugin off and then simply turn it on afterwards. This will allow you to get the rolls needed in the future and see when you would have actually got the quest done. With Herblore unlocked after this quest, getting unfinished potions or herbs rolls will actually feel exciting too, as you might use them right away to train or get additional rolls. It also makes Chambers of Xeric much more approachable without alt accounts to make potions for you, which is very welcome as we need more group content. Some of you may know that I have never interacted with sailing yet, and as such I am very excited to have the Pandemonium quest auto-completed in this rule set. A lot of items are unlocked through sailings, and I do know you get a raft after the quest for free, but I don't even know if it's possible to do anything without hammer and saw post-quest. I'm sure some islands will be unlocked and at least you will be able to lamp the skill if needed. I cannot wait to discover this in the future, but I cannot say anything about the skill. I have never done sailing before. Talking about lamps, I think every account should be able to progress their skills at any time, and as such, I will also include the introduction quest to runecrafting, Rune Mysteries, which will be auto-completed Every skill will be completely unlocked, and if needed, you should be able to use lamps on them. Now, for rules that open up the world map, sailing is going to open the world map a fair bit, I think, at least I hope, but I already talked about this. The big one in this category is auto-completing Priest of Peril, giving you access to Mauritania. Very hard to summarize this unlock, as so much happens in Mauritania, but I think it is quite healthy for the game mode, and we might get ourselves a Theater of Blood team at some point in the future. It would be awesome. My goal with this rule set is to help new players have a great time and give more opportunities for the community to get together. As such, everyone should be allowed to place the permanent rope needed to access the Lumbridge Caves, essential for early Slayer progression, and also use permanent ropes for access to Godward's dungeon, including the ropes needed for Ziliana. This won't devalue the rope as it is used for so many things in the games, and I guess I should have included the rope for the Soulsbane quest. You can if you want, but I won't bother personally. With these changes, most of the core world map should be unlocked, although a lot of smaller sections and bosses will be unreachable. I still think that this is fine, as once again, we want to make it beatable, not easy. Finally, for the quality of life rules, I would like to propose the following. Allow players to auto-complete the Barbarian training whenever they have the skills for it. This shouldn't be a really big deal, but it could open up a few roles. You could already do the fishing and farming parts without items, but I think you should be able to do the fire making part and the smithing part too. Chanceman might be the only type of players that might genuinely use a bow to make fires on the ground, and it would allow access to the ancient cavern, giving further map expansion. Some players may also want to make spears or astas, if they have the items for it. Finally, the herblore port of the training would make roe and caviar some excellent rolls to get, and would now be possible to use right away. I would also allow the reroll of all 3rd age and gilded items usually obtained from clue scrolls. Considered by many as almost unobtainable because they are too rare, they should be rerolled when obtained. Clue scrolls are a big part of the game mode, but we can still be realistic. Talking about clue scrolls that take a big chunk of time, I think that everyone should be able to use the spade for clue steps, as most of us are using the limited edition East Floor spade anyway. And you shouldn't have to wait a year for the special Easter spade if you don't want to. As a quality of life update, players should also be able to complete the X marks the spot quest. This makes stacking clues easier and faster. To encourage duo or group content in the community, I think whenever people are usually splitting drops, for example in Chambers of Xeric or God Wars, drops do not have to be in your name. Simply said, this is an optional case-by-case rule, but let's say if me and Radamaxi are sending duo cox and get a Dragon Hunter crossbow, and we're splitting the drops 50-50, then I would give her half the gold if she has the crossbow roll, or half the platinum otherwise. But in all cases, I will also share the unlock. In the future, if she rolls the DHCB, she could buy it on the Grand Exchange. This makes trying hard content with rag gear worth it, and it lowers the time to completion a bit. I would also like to allow decanting potion rolls as a quality of life update. Just like when you are at the Grand Exchange and you want to decant your potions into a different format, this new rule would allow you to transfer, for example, your rolls of Strength Potion 2 and 4 into a 1 and 2 dose for convenience in PVM. This would only be possible for potions for which you obtain all doses, and the goal of this rule is to simply allow you to bring more resources in an encounter while still being limited by the number of doses you rolled. Finally, and I think that this is the most important one, getting 99 in a skill should always be celebrated, as it is a major milestone in a player's journey. Every time a player reaches level 99 in a skill, he will be able to get 5 extra rolls, just like if he got a pet. After your first 99, you will be able to use law runes for teleportation purposes without having them roll. I think you definitely earn that privilege. Of course, law runes will only be usable in quests or to make tablets if you roll them, But at this point, I think you deserve to save time by teleporting around if you still haven't rolled them. This concludes the change I would make to the base rule set. The only thing missing is a name, and I'm not quite sure what I should be. I speak for no one but myself by saying all of this, but I think the Chanceman rules we currently know should be called Goodies rule set, as he originally made it, and honestly, it went through no changes in the 23 months it existed. But this mode, assuming Chanceman mode players as an almost whole decide to adopt it, should simply be called Standard rule set. I'm sure some players would prefer to keep Goodies rule set, and that's more than fine. This said, I think the Chanceman community needs fresh air, and this should be a great way to keep things going. Changing your rule set can be scary after so much playtime, but I think it should have been done much before. Starting in season 2 of my series LuckofShuk, playlist in description, I will adopt all the rules I talked about in this video, and this is a promise to you. Feel free to ask questions in the comments or in our Discord, link in the description again. There is a channel reserved to rules development. See you there or in a future video. Thank you for everything.